episode 5 of some dang good advice.
Dang good advice.
Dang good advice. How are you today, mate? You all right?
Very good, very good. Started my internship.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I did mention on the last episode, or I think I did, that I'm going through an internship.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm currently working for Glam Adelaide.
Hey, come on, Glam Adelaide. Second
Yeah.
day today, isn't it?
Yeah, second day, man.
Hey, come on, Andy.
Crazy, guys. Yeah.
Andy, I think a lot of people out there, in fact, everyone should have had one of these days. Those days when it feels like when it rains, it pours. Do you know what I mean? When things just hit the fan and it's just one thing after the other. One thing happens, then another thing happens, then another thing happens. Next thing you know, you're in a terrible day. One of those when it rains, it pours situations. I think you've been through one of those situations lately, haven't you?
Mean bad crazy situation.
I just want to clarify. You're saying bat, B-A-T, right?
Yes, it's bad.
See, when we did that podcast, was that episode 2?
Episode 4.
Episode
Come
4.
on, man.
I thought you were saying bad, B-A-D.
No, man.
Yeah.
Like your friend recognized it. It's like bad crazy.
So
It's
that
like
was-
BAT.
You've had some bat, crap, crazy days, all right?
Yes.
And just recently, you just came back from Melbourne, wasn't it?
Yeah. I think one of the not I think, like obviously, well, a lot of people have been asking like where's episode 5?
Yes.
So we're here recording, and just to give an explanation why episode 5 took so long
Yes.
to produce, just because I was having like the weeks of my life. Well, I gotta say, as long as I bleep it, just because I'm a Malaysian. So
Yeah.
bear with me. I think I'm gonna like put this explicit from now on, just because I want to be more like myself.
You just need to get it out.
I just need to get it out, man.
It's taken so long because Andy's been trying to gather all of his thoughts and forgive everything that's happened to him.
Oh well, I haven't forgive
I
anything.
feel like
man.
you're still carrying a lot of it.
Yeah, especially towards the Malaysian government. No offense, dude. Like you guys need to step it up, man.
Oh my goodness.
So full context.
Yes, give a bit of context before you start bagging on the Malaysian government.
Well, if you're Malaysian, you know why, obviously. But since this is a podcast in Australia, well, let's rip it off.
Oh, you're gonna rip? You're gonna go straight into it.
You guys
I
go
feel like you're
straight
really
in.
fired up tonight.
I am, man.
You feel like you got a lot to say, just a lot to get off your chest.
Dude, I have anger issues, and probably like growing up in Malaysia was one of the main reasons having it. And I thought like coming into Australia, I can run away from it or just escape from all this like drama that, how to say, our lovely government has provided. But I guess I still can't run away from it.
Wow, let it out, Andy. Let it out. Let the viewers know. Let the listeners know.
All right.
So you've had one of these days where it's when it rains, it pours. When everything just isn't going your way. I've seen some stuff on Instagram. I know what you've been through. I know what you're going through.
Yeah.
But it's fair to say that that was a crappy day.
It is, man. So what happened was I need to renew my passport. I'm here on a student visa in transiting to get a PR in South Australia. And my passport expires on the same day that my student visa expired. So in order for me to breach into temporary visa, I need to renew my passport.
Mm.
So that's what we did. So what happened was we applied for, because it's COVID season, right? So we are not able to just waltz into the Malaysia consulate.
Do they have a
Just to-
consulate here in
Uh,
Adelaide?
No. So they have a consulate in Canberra, in Melbourne, and in Perth.
Okay.
Just 3 in the whole wide Australia. And you know how huge Australia is. That's what baffles me at the first place. So the procedure was you're supposed to make an appointment. So being me, being a diligent person like me, you know how I do things.
Yes.
Like by the book.
Very
so I'll-
organized.
So I will call them, and I've tried calling them for the past like 2 months on their phone, emailing them.
The Malaysian consulate.
Yes, that happened like around like September 2020.
Okay.
And there was no response. I do understand like due to COVID, there's a lot of procedures that need to be changed to accommodate like others, people that's like trapped and so forth. I know that there's a lot of like things when it comes to social distancing. So I can say, okay, I understand it. At the end of the day, I found an article from Facebook, not even from their website, to say that, okay, you need to submit an email pertaining all your documentations and why you want to renew your passport. So that's why I did it. I did it on November.
Mm.
And once I send everything off, you think that they'll reply you like the next day, right? Because it's a government body. They only reply me 3 weeks later. It's like near December.
Oh
They
my
say, okay,
goodness.
we got your data and we put you on the waiting list.
So when was your passport going to expire?
So my passport is going to expire like this September.
In September. So this September.
And I can't renew my passport based on Malaysian law if my current student visa or any related visa has less than 6 months of validity.
Okay.
So that means
So
that
you need to renew your visa to
Yeah.
renew your passport.
yes. So my passport and visa expires on the same month.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So that means that today, it's the last month that I can renew it.
Yes. Okay. Otherwise, you're not going to have a passport.
Yeah. Otherwise, I can't renew a passport, which means I can't go into bridging visa. I can't apply
Yes.
everything, and I need to go back to Malaysia to do that. And you know that Australia has been closing their borders
Yep.
ever since, so it'll be very hard for me to come here, come
If
back
you go
here.
over there, you're probably not going to come back.
Yep. And I've spent so much like effort onto building my life here already. It's pretty much integrated into
It's very important. It's
It's
very
very
important
important.
for you to be here.
I have friends and family here. So I don't think that I can afford to go back.
Yep.
Because I uproot everything to move over here.
Totally.
So why would I want to uproot everything to move back again just because of this inconvenience, this slight inconvenience, we can say. So I started prepping like a year before. That's where it started, like from September onwards. I apply,
Yeah.
I call. So they reply me on the 3rd week of November, which is very near December.
Yeah.
They say that, oh, we're currently overwhelmed with requests. That's why we need to put you on a waiting list.
Oh,
And he said the waiting list can take up to 90 days.
wow. So time is ticking. So this was end of November.
Yes.
You need to get your visa approved. You need to get your visa extended so that you can get your passport. So then, therefore, after you get your passport, then you're able to do some other bridging visas, different things like that.
Yeah.
So,
Because essentially the reason why I'm taking a student visa, so for people that don't know, Australia government wouldn't recognize my degree. Because I've like 9 years in marketing experience and I'm a professional marketer by career. I've all this like acknowledgement, all these awards that comes along with
Yep.
it. It's just they wouldn't allow me to go through the skill assessment because of my bachelor's degree. So I graduated as a mass comm, a bachelor's. So they say it's irrelevant towards my marketing field. So it is how it is.
yeah.
And I mean, I do understand the red tape behind all this. If it's so easy to move over here, everyone will do it. So I guess they want to control the quality of the migrants coming in. So I don't blame Australian government for that, definitely. It's a process that everyone has to go through.
Yep.
So I'm just going through the same process.
Yeah.
But what frustrates me is the procedure that the support that the Malaysian government is giving like to the local citizens.
Because it's not an easy thing, right? You can't just simply send an email, go to the Malaysian consulate and say, hey, I would like to extend my visa or change my visa. Can you please do it? It's a drawn out process. It's something that takes a lot of time and a lot of money.
What angers me so much is, so we have a friend, Jericho.
Yes.
He's a Singaporean.
Singaporean brother. He's Filipino.
Yeah, but he's a Singaporean.
He's got a Singaporean citizenship.
Yeah.
Shout out to Jericho. You're a good lad. You're a good lad.
So what happened was, when I asked him, he said the Singapore government allowed him to verify his like identity via Skype.
Wow.
And he got his passport.
Wow.
right
Just like
after-
that. That's very convenient.
Yes, that's very
You know
convenient.
what? You don't need to fly over back to Singapore. You don't need to like do anything. You don't need to take a massive weekend out. You're just simply on Skype.
Yeah, and the fact that Singapore is just a neighbor country to Malaysia,
Yes.
for in case someone don't know, like I met people that has like very bad geography like knowledge. So
Such as myself.
Yeah.
okay.
so I'm telling you, Singapore is just down south of Malaysia. You can
South
walk.
is up, right?
South
No,
is
I'm joking. I'm bad, but not that bad.
Come on, man. Yep. So what I have to do is I need to travel down to Canberra
Yes.
or Melbourne or Perth to renew my passport.
Wow. Unlike Jericho, who just did it on Skype.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So to renew your passport, you had to go to Melbourne.
Yes.
Wow.
So I actually sent email out to the consulate in Canberra and Victoria, just because I don't want to fly 5 hours down to Perth.
Yes.
And it makes more sense if I want to drive or fly.
Yeah.
Canberra or Melbourne would be the
Yes.
better choice to do it. And hence I did that.
What a frustrating situation.
Yeah. So they reply me on January. I say that we have set up this appointment for you. So you need to be here on the 10th of February,
10th of February.
10:15 a.m.
That's cutting it close to March.
Yes. And you need to be there sharp. If you're 5 minutes late, we consider the appointment
Wow.
cancelled.
So that you're going over to Melbourne, you're driving over to have this meeting with someone from the Malaysian consulate to confirm,
Just to do biometric scan, like thumbprint
wow,
and pay money.
to renew your passport.
Yes, to renew my passport.
And how long did this interview take you?
5 minutes.
5-minute interview for it. What is it? A 10-hour drive, 8 to 10-hour drive
8 to
from
10 hour
Adelaide
drive.
to Melbourne.
And the reason why we drive is because of the COVID restrictions.
Yes.
It's just bad. Like you do, and most of the cases that's contracted comes from the airport. So we just want to avoid this kind of like hot zone as much as possible because we're trying to like pull our part as a considerate citizen as well. So we don't want to give trouble to anyone.
Yeah.
In the sense, and we don't want to give trouble to ourselves. Like getting quarantined for 14
You don't
days.
want that.
Yeah, I don't want that.
You don't want that. So you drove over
Yeah, we
8
drove
hours. You stayed more than a weekend there. You stayed for some time to get a 5-minute interview. Man, Andy, I can relate to you. When I was going around traveling, I had to go to Melbourne as well for, I'd say, about a 10-minute interview to get my student visa over in Canada. So the reason why I had to get a student visa was because I had to go into LA for about 2 weeks, go travel, then go to Canada, then re-enter LA. So I had to get it was a student, no, it's a travel visa that I needed to get. That because normally you'd get some kind of like document online which gives you 90 days. But because I was going to be in Canada studying for I think 4 or 5 months, that would mean that my ETSI, I think what it's called, or a visa waiver wouldn't work. As soon as I get to America, it starts going. So I had to go to Sydney to go get this travel visa for a less than half an hour meeting, right? And it was the most inconvenience because I had to pay for flights, go over, get the taxi, go over. It was like like if I work up out on the maths, it was like $500 a day, just to get that piece of paper signed. But that's the same what you did. Hey,
Yeah.
so frustrating.
Essentially, passport is just a travel document where like you can always verify it with your identification card or just facial like identification, but via like video conference. Like if a
Yes.
first world country like Singapore can do that
Yes.
and give this leeway, I don't see why Malaysian can't. Like
Yes.
that's my take. Because
Yeah.
both of them are neighboring countries and they're very much
So
similar.
the frustration happens. Singapore can just do it by Skype. You need to go to the Malaysian consulate in Melbourne, get
And
it
the worst
signed
case
up.
is I have to email them and wait for 3 weeks to get their reply.
So this is just the start, Andy. You need to go over there, but it gets worse, right?
Oh, it
So
gets worse.
passport gets approved, right? Passport's all good, right?
Yeah.
Time was ticking, so it needs to get approved because if it doesn't get approved by March, you can't do your bridging visas and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So that was the only window, and it's just like in the borderline. So we have to do it. Like that's the one and done
Yep.
stuff. Like if you
And
don't
if it
do
doesn't go through, you're gonna be in trouble. You're
Yeah,
gonna have to
yeah.
pack your bags, go home to Malaysia.
Yep, say bye bye to Adelaide.
But good thing is it got approved.
Yeah,
But then something happened on the way home.
Oh yeah. So on the 10th of February, if you are in Australia, you probably know South Australia decided to close the border on Melbourne.
Wow. Because Melbourne had contracted some cases of COVID, right?
Yep.
Oh.
Thank you, Open Tennis
Oh.
Tournament.
I just want to insert that there.
It's a good insert, man.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So Melbourne contracted some cases of COVID. Therefore, South Australia closed its borders while you were in Melbourne getting your passport approved. So I get a call from you, and you're frantic. You're like, "What's going on? South Australia's closing the borders." You don't even know if you'll be able to come back into South Australia. You got your internship that you're doing right now starting up. Yeah, actually, that got approved, didn't it?
Well, that got approved, but I kind of delayed the internship
Yes.
because I was supposed to start on the 15th.
That's right. Yeah. So you had the pressure of having to start the Glam Adelaide internship. It's fantastic. So you had to email them, communicate to them. Now, like you're having to try and figure this whole thing out while you're in Melbourne, thinking about your internship, thinking that you've just got your passport. Are you going to be able to get back into South Australia? Do you need a quarantine? You had some responsibilities. So it's starting to pile up now,
It is.
but it didn't just stop there. More things happened.
Oh yeah, it did not.
Okay.
So what we did was we pack our things. You know, like how you rush off and pack everything.
In a hurry because
In a
you need
hurry.
to cross the border within
Yes.
by 12 a.m.
So we did all that, and in the midst of that, I broke my iPad Pro.
You broke your iPad
The
Pro.
iPad Pro just fell down from one of the
smashed
bags
it.
because
You're
it was
joking.
not zipped properly.
Because you're frantic. You're
Yeah.
you're thinking, you're reading all this stuff online where it says South Australia closing its borders. You're like, I can't stay in Melbourne for however long if I don't get over the border.
And what I don't appreciate in that incident is they just say they will close the border by 12. So
12.
they did not say to who. So
Yeah.
it was only updated on the next day. They said, oh, to people that is non-essential or people that's non-resident.
Wow.
Because I think the chief police just mentioned that we're going to close the South Australia border
They just
to
said we're going
everyone.
to close it. That's right.
Yeah.
Mm.
So of course, being a South Australian that needs to come back to work and do other stuff, you'll be frantic. Because
Yes.
I tried calling like the SA police.
Yep.
And none of
Nothing.
them, yeah, they can't say anything because they don't have any ideas. And I tried calling the COVID helpline,
Mhm.
which like, God bless them. But it's so frustrating because they have like working hours from 9 to 6.
9 to 6. And you tried calling them probably after hours because you probably only found out, was it at night, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was around evening,
Yeah.
like around near 5 to 6 as
Wow.
well. So I was trying to call them and they did not answer my call.
Oh my goodness.
So I'm like, dude, like you announced this and then everyone is in the frantic.
Yes.
So what am I supposed to do? Like, do I
Yeah.
stay there? If I stay there, then I can't come in again.
So you've already got the pressure piling up. This is what I'm picturing in my mind, right? The announcement's been made. You're thinking at 12 a.m. midnight, you're going to get armed guards at the border with guns. It's obviously not true, but this is the picture that I'm painting in my head, right? Yeah, people saying you're not coming into South Australia. You're going to be locked down. You're stuck in Melbourne. That's what probably you were thinking in your mind at that time.
Yep.
Mm.
And if I don't come back, I'm susceptible to a COVID test.
Yes.
And I need to quarantine myself for 14 days.
Yes.
So
that
number
would
take
one,
up a very big like space in my time. Like imagine 14 days not being able to come out from my home and just
frustrating.
everything is just crumbling. in front of me.
Everything's piling up.
Yeah.
So the pressure of that, you've had to go over to Melbourne, finding out that Jericho, our guy, just did it through Skype. That's already a fracture.
That's BS.
You
man.
go over there.
yeah.
You do this 5-minute meeting where you get your fingerprint scanned. It's all approved. Already the pressure is if it doesn't get approved, your passport is not going to be renewed in time. And so now you've just been given the news of far out, the borders are closing, right? When you plan on staying there, taking your time, not really stressing out, but then you find out all of a sudden borders are closing, no information. You're thinking you're probably going to be stuck in Melbourne. You've cracked your iPad, but it gets worse. It gets worse. So in the hurry, what's happened? You've packed, you're rushing, you're picking up all your clothes, you're packing your bags, you dropped your iPad, you're fractured already. Literally, you've fractured your iPad, and then you're rushing to the border. You're driving
I
off.
was literally fractured in my mind.
Fractured everywhere.
Yeah.
So you're driving towards the
And
border.
Yes. And when I started my car like away from my Airbnb, the alternator light
You're
turned
joking.
on.
Yeah.
So
the
I was
light
like,
turned on. Should be all right. Yeah, that's all right. It's just
should
a
be
light.
all right because like I have an old car that has an alternator light on for like almost
The
a year.
Ford Laser. Yeah.
Yeah. So sometimes it's just like LED malfunction or whatsoever.
Yes.
Like when sometimes there's just light comes on and you still drive the car for years.
Yes.
And even the mechanic can find out what's the reason
Yes.
and say it's like the digital dashboard problem. So I thought that it would be the same thing. Because
Yes.
I drove like 10 hours all the way from Adelaide to Melbourne.
Yeah.
And nothing went wrong.
Everything's all right. Yeah. So
But-
you see the light, you're like, should be
Yeah,
all right.
the light
you hit the road.
the light wasn't there
Yeah.
throughout the whole day. I was like driving to St Kilda, coming back, doing everything, fixing my passport, then brought Eddie to shopping and stuff. So the car still works fine.
No worries.
No worries, man. But as soon as I started the car, that was there. I'm like, okay, worst case if it's an alternator fault, I may be able to squeeze out like 1 to 2 hours.
Yeah.
That should help me to reach like almost near to the border.
Yes.
Well, I was being too positive on that. So the car broke down actually
No.
45 minutes down.
No.
So
you're
I was
joking.
stranded like 5 kilometers away from a small
CBD?
town called Ballarat.
Ballarat.
Yeah.
So your car broke down 5 Ks out from Ballarat.
Yes.
You're driving, you're cracked your iPad, right? You're thinking, am I going to get past the border? Your deadline is 12 a.m. to get over the border and your alternator breaks. What is it? You were driving in the middle of the road, your car breaks down, it just stops working?
Yeah. So everything just started going
No.
wonky, like the dashboard, the meter was like flicking on and off.
Oh man,
Yeah,
I can feel the pressure.
And I was on a freeway.
Yep.
on a freeway.
Cars honking behind you.
I think it was like around 6 or 7
Oh,
p.m.
just about peak hour.
Peak hour, man.
Peak hour traffic.
There's a lot of trucks going in and out.
Oh my goodness.
So I have to like just
Melbourne
emerge it.
highways are busy as well.
Yeah, I have to emergency like I'll post a photo up on the show
Yes.
notes.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
if you have like if you have seen my Instagram like for the past like few weeks, you would have seen that footage of like where my car was stranded.
Yes. And you know what? I got to say, it's a beautiful photo.
Yeah.
You've composed it very, very well.
Some reason the sunset was so good
It was beautiful.
because it was golden hour. Yeah. And I took that and said, wow, that's like the most beautiful car broke down experience I ever
So your
had.
car broke down. You have to pull off to the emergency slip lane, right?
And I call RAA.
You call RAA, yeah.
And what I realized is, okay, if RAA tells you they're insured all around Australia, that's BS.
Yeah.
Because I bought the RAA premium.
You got premium. You got the highest level of
I got
RAA
the highest
coverage.
level. Yeah. And they can tow me up to
Yes.
200 kilometers.
200 Ks, that's pretty good.
Yeah. So I
like 2 or 3
calculated. So
hours.
I'm in Ballarat. So I can actually make it all the way past the border if they tow me.
Yeah.
But when I call them, they say, oh, you're in Victoria. So
Yeah.
even though RA is covered throughout the whole Australia,
Yeah.
we are insured under RACV,
What's that?
which means I think it's a subsidiary.
Yeah.
Like from RAA. So here you're only considered a standard normal member.
What?
Yeah.
You're a normal member in Victoria.
Yeah, I'm like, what the heck, man?
So
it's
you
like,
pay all this extra money and they say it's Australia wide, but it's only in South Australia.
Yep. So screw you, RAA.
Fracture.
Like seriously, screw you, man. So pissed off, right?
Oh, come on. Give me another one. There we go. How does that feel? So you have now got a regular membership. How many Ks does that cover you?
20 Ks.
20 Ks, but still within the zone.
Yeah, still within
Wait, were
the
you
zone.
thinking, okay, maybe this tow truck can tow me back to the Adelaide border?
Yeah, I was hoping that
Free
would-
ride, free ride, baby.
I was hoping that would be the case. So even if I came in border town, that'd be fine because I'm in South Australia already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the clock is ticking. 12 a.m. Got to cross the border. You're waiting for RAA to call back, right? To let you know what's going on. So they say you've only got you're a regular member here in Victoria. So then what's the next step? Then you say
And they say they can get the tow truck here in 3 hours time.
3 hours. Yes. So 3 hours time, and that was what, like 7 o'clock. So that's, if you do the maths, 10 hours. You're not going to make the border by 12 a.m.
Well, I'm not going to make the border because the toll rate isn't there. So if I want to pay to tow all the way across, I'll have to pay like $2,000.
By that time, you're probably thinking it's a haymaker. What do I got to do? I'm going to be stuck in Victoria.
Yeah, I'm definitely stuck in Victoria at that point. I keep
So you're
asking like, is there
stressing.
any workshop that can fix my car over the night? I don't mind paying like double the
Yeah.
price.
Wow.
I
I'd
was
be
that
like, yeah,
desperate.
sure. If I was a mechanic, I'd be like, yeah, for sure.
Well,
Yeah.
Apparently, all the mechanics that I call is like, nah, we're after work. We don't do it. It's like, come on, man.
7 p.m. No mechanics open at that time.
Some of the people that I call actually gave me like numbers to
Wow.
other mechanics, the private numbers. So
Yeah.
I call them and they are not willing to fix it. I'm like, dude,
Wow.
I'm willing to pay you double the price.
Wow.
Just charge me.
Oh my goodness.
And they don't want it. They said that we're closed. Just come back next day.
Wow. So you're thinking, nope, that's it. I'm locked in Victoria.
Yes.
I'm not getting back to South Australia. I'm not
Yep.
making the border by 12 a.m. Stuff's hitting the fan.
Oh.
You're stressed out already from the trip.
I'm definitely
You've
stressed out.
heard about this lockdown. You've broken your iPad. You're frantically getting to the border. Your alternator's broken down. Your car's broken down. You find out that you're a regular RAA member after paying all that money. And now you find out you're not making the border. You're thinking you're stuck there forever. What's your next move? What happens?
Dude, I call you, man.
You called me, Gills,
And
help.
you- And you
help."
weren't answering, man.
I was like, sorry, mate, I'm just at the gym. No, I'm joking.
You were on a retreat.
That's
Yeah.
right. I was on staff retreat,
yeah.
for work.
I'm
yeah.
like, where's
a
my
bit of a
pastor when
meeting.
I need him, man? Like, I need
Gills,
some
pray for me.
deliverance,
Pray for
man.
me. Oh, sorry, man. I'm in the meeting. But I did send you a message, right? And the message that I got back was so blunt. I'm like, hey, man, you good? No. Car broken down. Full stop. Stuck in Melbourne. Full stop. Then I'm like, wow, he's going through a bad day right now.
Oh, it
I
was-
couldn't call you, man. I'm like in the middle of a meeting with Pastor Jay, our senior pastor. And I'm like, I can't call you. I'm sorry, man.
It was so bad. Like
Yeah.
it is literally like the worst day. I can say it's literally the worst day of my life.
When it rains, it pours. I think a lot of people have been in those situations.
Yeah.
If you haven't had those situations, it's coming. It's coming. It's part of life, right?
Yeah, we don't know jinx it, but it happened. But
It happens.
at the end of the day, we got the car fixed.
Yeah.
And
Okay. So there is some light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah. So we still took a trip down to Great Ocean Road just because we
Yes.
think that we are trapped here anyways. And then we came back. Apparently, we got stuck in Ballarat, which is a regional area. So they consider that as a non-hot zone. So we only need to do 1 day. We only need to do 1 day quarantine and do like 3 COVID tests, day 1, day 5, and day 12.
Wow.
But what I did was we did 5 days of quarantine, self-quarantine.
Yeah.
Just because we want to be considerate.
Just in case.
Yeah, just in case.
Totally. Because you also got that. It's like, oh, now I've got to quarantine. Now I'm locked in my house for 14 days. My Glam Adelaide internship, they're waiting for me. What are they going to think?
Yeah, I really appreciate like Kelly from Glam Adelaide. I'll shout out to her.
Come on, Kelly.
Because like she's very considerate. She said, oh, you know what?
As long as you don't have COVID, no worries, mate.
Yeah, come on the 1st of March, man. It's all good. Yeah.
Wow, that's great. Awesome. So you get through that eventually. So your car gets fixed. You drive over. South Australia say that, you can still cross the border if you're an essential worker. If you live in South Australia, you can still come depending on your COVID test. And your COVID test comes back negative.
Yes.
No COVID.
And the funniest thing is we went through the border via like a small suburb.
Yeah, right. Trying to sneak the border patrol.
It's not trying to sneak it. So I was going back through Mount Gambier. So that was
you walked over the border. That's what you did.
And we crossed over the border and there was no popo around.
No popo.
No popo.
Wow. Man. You were expecting people with guns. You were expecting people with tanks.
Yeah, that's why I feel that, when you announce that, without giving context, it kind of screws everyone over. Because it looks so severe, right? You should have like border patrols all the way around like South Australia.
Yes.
But apparently there's no border patrols on certain places. So why am I so frantic? That you caused so much frantic for someone that didn't know because you didn't like disperse enough information.
Hear the moment. So these things happen. So Andy, today we want to give some dang good advice for anyone that's going through a rough day.
Yes.
So if anyone that's going through a rough day, we'd love to be able to equip them and say, hey, how do you cope through those situations of when nothing goes your way? Through those situations when it rains, it pours. Maybe you've been in a situation like Andy where stuff has just hit the fan. There's no other better way of explaining it. When it rains, it pours, stuff hits the fan, everything going crazy. How do you survive those days? Maybe we can give some dang good advice, Andy. What do you reckon?
Yeah, come on, man.
Dang good advice. Come on, fire up.
You know when they say like, it happens?
Yeah. That's it. Well, stuff hits fan. I like to say it like that.
Yeah, it happens, man. So
dang good advice. Maybe you're out there and you're going through a terrible day right now, or it's coming, right? We want to equip you and help you with some things and maybe even debunk some bad advice that's being given out there to be able to get through these bad days. And you know what, Andy, I think I've experienced a bad day before when it rains, it pours kind of situations. Really quickly, I think for me, when I can think about one of those situations, it's a car situation just like you. Happened when my dad had a stroke, was it 8 or 9 years ago, right? And I was about 22 years at the time, and we had 2 cars going on at that time. So we had my dad's Land Rover, and I had my little Volkswagen Cabriolet, 1984,
ooh, classic.
Right? It's a very nice car, not practical at all, right? No power steering, no air conditioning. The thing's 1984. So
you're gonna start somewhere, man.
Oh man, it was my first car, $1,500. It was beautiful, right? Looks cool on the outside, not practical. I was like driving a go-kart wherever I went. So my dad's just had a stroke. I've had to take on the family business. I've had to leave what I was doing, go full-time in the family business. We're trying to figure out what's going on with Dad's health. We don't know if he's going to be good, if he's going to be stuck in bed for the rest of his life. We're having to deal with all this paperwork, all these people talking about Dad's health, talking about Dad's future, all these things. Dad's been admitted to Hampstead Rehab Center, which is a great place. They help people get better. They do rehabilitation. So Dad's living there. Was it 6 days a week? He only comes back home once a week. And we're driving there, and we've got these 2 cars, and we've got the business at the time, and we use the Land Rover to be able to tow the trucks. And what happens is the Land Rover breaks down on us. Something massive happens, right? So we take it to the mechanic, and the mechanic just says, look, the amount of work that you have to sink into your car, it's probably not worth it. Or you know what?
So you sold the Land Rover,
So
right?
what happened is we had to weigh it up. It's like, okay, it's a lot of money. What do we do? Do we repair it and then try sell it, or do we just scrap it? So that car's out of action. That's sitting in the mechanics because it's going to cost a lot of money that we didn't have at the time. And we're like, it's okay. I've still got my little Volkswagen Cabriolet at the time. No worries. So we're having to go to dad's appointments every single day. Go see dad at Hampstead. Go talk to this person, this social worker, or drive them back and forth. And we're like, okay, no problems. We've got that. And on top of that, I'm having to look after the business, like step into my dad's role. That's every day. You don't do the business, you don't get money on the table. You don't do the business, Gavin and Chelsea don't go to high school. So we're running that. I'm having to step into that while having to navigate the stresses of dad just having a massive stroke. And so that car is essential. We're driving to work. I'm carrying all of the stocks for the shop in that little go-kart of a car there. We're driving to work early in the morning.
So are you pulling the trailer with that car?
I wasn't pulling the trailer. Definitely wasn't pulling the trailer.
That would be epic, man.
So yeah, it definitely would. The trailer would be towing the car. That's what it would be doing. But we're going from working at the shop and then going straight to dad every single day with that little Volkswagen. And the worst thing happens is pulling into the Hampstead rehab, the steering column of my Volkswagen just collapses, right? So I'm turning left with my non-power steering car. I turn left into Hampstead, and then all of a sudden it just gives way. I'm turning the wheel and there's nothing going on. And I'm like, I managed to park it. And that was one of those moments where I'm like, when it rains, it pours. I'm like, oh no, what am I going to do? Right. So we end up getting towed. And I'm like, oh man, this sucks. Like, we have no car. What's going to happen? Start calling up some friends, and a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel, a little bit of light in this situation. My mate goes, hey man, you can borrow my car. No worries. And so I borrow his car. Really thankful for him. It's a Commodore. And I'm driving the car. Then all of a sudden, I get a flat tire in the car. Right.
Oh man.
So I've had it for one day. Right. I'm like, dude, thank you so much. Had it for one day, and I get a flat tire, and I've never changed a tire in my life. When I was 22.
Dude, serious?
22, never changed a tire in my life,
My
right?
goodness.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm already hypersensitive from everything that's going on. And I'm freaking out. I'm going down Grand Junction, and I pull up into a petrol station, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. I've never changed a tire before. I've got my mum in the car, got my teenage brother, got my little sister in the car. I'm like, I'm overwhelmed right now. Everything's piled up. When it rains, it pours. We don't have any other car. I'm borrowing this car. How do we do this? Like, everything's going on. What's my mate going to think? But lucky enough, someone ends up helping us out. Long story short, we get through it. And somehow, right, we end up selling off the Land Rover. We did the maths. We got it fixed, sold that off. We got our mechanic actually fixed my Volkswagen at a cheap price. And so what we ended up doing is we traded off the Land Cruiser, and we ended up getting a brand new car. A Nissan Navara that I have right now, right?
Oh.
Because we end up having the finance to be able to work it out. We got a good price for it. And as well, we get rid of my Volkswagen, right? And I end up buying another cheap car, right? I bought $1,000 car, which is fine, which is way better. But it all worked out in the end. So I think everyone's been through these situations of when it rains, it pours.
Totally, man. Like we say, man, if you haven't, it's gonna come soon, man.
Totally. It's coming soon. So you know what? I think it'd be good to be able to equip people and help people and give some people some dang good advice in getting through these kind of tough situations.
And I guess like kudos to you. I mean, because you're 22.
I haven't changed the tire before.
Yeah, jokes. That aside, I mean, that's embarrassing, but yeah. I knew how to change tire when I was 16. So yeah, but that aside, right? 22-year-old, you wouldn't know that much about life anyways. You just got out from uni.
That's right.
Started working.
Yeah.
And to have the feeling to hold, like the world is like coming down on you and not being equipped to handle it, that would be rough. I mean, I'm fortunate because I had the worst day of my life when I was like the age of 32, which is 10 years after. So 10 years of life experience tell me that, you know what, when life gives you lemon,
you make lemonade.
Yeah, you try to make the best out of it, man.
Yes, that's right.
So I guess that's the saving grace from my end after listening to your story. But yeah, at the end of the day, like we definitely want to give like good advice.
That's right. So, and you know what? There's some dang bad advice out there as well, Andy.
We want to like dissect like, okay, we got this article. that's called like 31 things to do when you're having a
By
bad day
Birdie.
by
Birdie.
Birdie. Yeah, so
It's an article.
we kind of got it because it was trending on the top page.
Yes,
like
that's
number
right.
one ranking in Google when we search what do you do when you have a bad day.
Yes.
And this was updated on the 18th of February 2021. I'll
That's
put it
right.
on the show
I think
notes.
it's good that people are putting some content out there trying to help people through bad days.
Yeah, that's good. But we want to paint it in the sense of like, yeah, bad day. But if it
Yes.
happens on like the shittiest day ever, like what we go through, does this 31 thing kind of help?
Yes.
Or does it not? Because everyone has a bad day, but in what scale?
And I'm reading some of them right now. Some of them I'm like, yeah, pretty good. Some of them are actually making me laugh right now. All right, let's put it like this. If someone is having the worst day of their life, stuff like this is not like just a bad day. Oh,
Yeah.
got an assignment left, an assignment due tomorrow. Oh, it's a bad day, right? Even though, yes, it's important, right?
Well,
but we're talking
if you haven't
about
finished assignment, it's on you, man.
we're talking about a bad day, right? Let's talk about a really hard situation, right? Maybe you've lost your job.
Your pet died.
Maybe your cat died. That's a bad day, but that's not the worst case scenario, right? Maybe you're facing a situation that just, man, you're overwhelmed with it. That's what I could say. You're overwhelmed with the situation. Let me ask you something. Will signing up for yoga or meditation class help you through that absolute overwhelming day?
Hell no. I mean, it works if you're having a bad day, but you think again, man, if you're having a bad day, your tendency of splurging will be there.
Yes.
So are you making a right choice or bad choice by signing up to a class that you might attend or might not attend after? So is that a good advice?
Well, okay, got another one. Grab an adult coloring book and get to work with some pretty colored pencils.
Well, I guess I need to pack coloring books in my car from now on.
God, man, I've just found out I've lost my job. You know what? I'm going to go to an adult coloring book. You know what? I think some of these things are great if you're just having a generally bad day.
Yeah.
You know, like it's maybe it's raining outside and you're just feeling a bit flat. You don't feel productive, you know. I don't mind getting an adult coloring book, you know. That's pretty, what's the word? Therapeutic. Maybe do a puzzle or something, make you feel good. But I don't think doing an adult coloring book is going to cheer up your day if you've just found out someone's been struck with some really bad news.
Yeah. And in context of bad day, right? We are saying about bad day. This is not like a child having a bad day because he or she can't get her ice cream or whatsoever. You know, a bad day means a bad day.
Okay, here's another one. Go on a Pinterest bender.
What's that?
Pinterest bender. You know what Pinterest is? Pinterest is like, the scrapbooking thing.
The scrapbook.
Yeah.
When you pin everything.
All right.
You want to drown yourself in social media when you feel bad and you start looking at other good stuff that people has. It's going to make you feel worse.
Yes.
Trust me, I've been there. Like you go down the rabbit hole. It's like, oh, I lost a job contract.
Yeah.
And then you see people like buying new cameras and it's like, oh, I wish I could be them. Then you start scrolling again and it goes down and you feel like, I'm worthless, man. People are getting a successful life ahead and I suck.
Start comparing yourself.
Yeah.
Start comparing yourself.
So, nope.
The 3 things that we've come across so far: join a yoga class, grab an adult coloring book,
retail
go to Pinterest, retail therapy. Okay, yeah. There's 4, yeah.
Like I say, when you feel bad or when you're having a bad day, your tendency to make choices is not that rational. That you tend to make like wrong choices.
Stay away from the credit card. Stay away from it. Put it down right now, right?
Walk away.
You having a bad day? Don't buy it.
Chuck it away, man.
Don't buy it.
Yeah, don't buy it, man. If you have a partner, give it to your partner.
Like I said, like these things here could be okay if you're just having an average day. But we're not talking about average. We're talking about when it rains, it pours. One thing piling up another. When you're stressed and your back's against the wall.
Yeah, one thing I'll agree.
Retail therapy ain't going to help me.
Yeah, one thing I do agree though. Listen to a comedy podcast.
Hey, listen to Andy and Gills. Listen to some dang good advice that might help you.
It might change your life, man.
You know, I hope we could help someone. I hope we can cheer someone's day up. If they're having a terrible day, if you listen to us, I hope that you end up, we will do something to cheer you up. I like this one point that birdies say, right? Create a gratitude list. That's actually not bad, right?
Yeah, I like it.
I'd say it for this, right? Let's give it one of these, right? Yeah. Round of applause for the gratitude list.
Oh, you just cut the round of applause halfway through, man. Come on, man.
So gratitude list, I think so. I think by just counting, I say count your blessings, right?
Yeah.
So if you're in a dark place and you feel like the world is closing in on you, my one piece of advice for you right now, here's one practical tool, is to count your blessings, right?
Hey,
And
come
I'll
on,
say,
man.
yeah, I'd say look at the bright side of life and start low, right? I think when you're having these bad days, and I can tell you another moment when I felt really overwhelmed and I felt like my back was against the corner was again the season of my dad being stuck in rehab, having not knowing if he's going to live and things like that, and of having to step into the family business, look after the family business. And at the time, we used to do food catering, so we used to go to different events around South Australia, and we had this one particular event, which was over Easter weekend. And it was a massive weekend because we had two food stalls that I needed to set up. And what we do is my sister and my mum, they've got food trucks now and they go around. Before the food truck, man, we used to have to set it up out of marquees. So we had a trailer, get everything set up marquee, get the trestle table out, put the bamery in there, get the barbecue out. It's big days. So on that day, we had two stalls over 2 days. And I remember setting up for it and being overwhelmed. I'm like, how am I going to do two shops, 2 days? Think about employees, think about setup. How am I going to do this? And I remember being at home and just feeling stressed out. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, I just can't comprehend this. Like, I'm deep in it. I can't do it. I've never done this before. I'm a 22-year-old guy that hasn't been taught how to do the business, and I'm just thrown in the deep end. And I remember being at home and seeing all the stuff that I'm laying out and I'm trying to organize it in my brain. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is bad. So I actually said to myself, you know what? I'm going to step outside right now and I'm going to walk around the block. I've still got time. It's early in the morning. I'm going to walk around the block. And you know what? I'm going to choose to count the positivity in my life. I'm going to choose to count the good things in my life. And I started thanking God for the smallest of things, right? So, in those moments when people are overwhelmed and feeling like the walls are caving in, it's easy to stay in there. But it's actually a choice to say, you know what? I'm going to choose to start counting the good things in my life because there's more things to be grateful for than to be sorry for in life.
Totally, man.
There always is, right?
I think it's just like my situation.
Mm,
So one thing that I miss out telling,
mm.
but I kind of like how we say things. It kind of segue into it. So the day that we got stranded in
Yes.
Ballarat, right? So we went to a hotel. And we
Yes.
spent like I think almost like $250
Yeah.
for the accommodation.
Yeah.
Just because there's no accommodation around.
Yeah.
And on that night itself, we saw the news and there was a massive accident in Border Town.
Wow.
You know, right? The truck got flipped and there was a fire everywhere.
Wow.
And SA police decided to close the border
Wow.
because of that, because of the severity. And we kind of calculated. So if the car did not broke down and we drove all the way to Border Town, we have arrived around that time.
My goodness.
And it's either we get caught in the accident
Oh my gosh.
or we get stuck in the border, which the rest of the people that was there trying to get across did. So they
Yeah.
were stuck until like mid-noon the other day
Totally.
because they have to clear off everything. Then only the police will start proceeding to
Totally.
like process the whole thing. So you get a choice of like doing a U-turn and turn back. But
Definitely.
if you're in the midst of the accident, I don't think that you can go anywhere.
Totally.
You're probably stuck there. So I say that it's better to get stuck in a town where you get nice lodging
Yeah.
than to get stuck in the middle of nowhere
Yeah.
and you gotta sleep in your car.
Yeah.
So that's
totally. So once you're out of that situation, you could realize the silver lining. You can see the silver
totally,
lining.
man. I was very grateful. I said
Yeah.
like, okay, maybe things happen for a reason. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Whatever happened has already happened. So
Yeah.
you can't a lot of times, right? We get so fixated on to justifying like, oh, if I did this, then this will change. But you know what? You can't cry over spilled milk.
Yes.
So what has happened, it has already happened.
Totally.
And you can just try to make sense of like because of that something
Totally.
did not happen, something
Definitely.
bad or worse did not happen.
Definitely.
And I was ever grateful on that. All right, man, if I have to spend like $700 for alternator because I was stuck in a whoop land, $700 is better than getting myself injured or whatsoever.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. I think when you're outside of it, right, you can reflect and see the silver lining. You can see, okay, because of that situation, you know what? Thank God it didn't happen like this because of that. So you can, once you're outside of it. But I think when you're in the middle of it, it's easy for your own thoughts to overwhelm you and feel like you're cramped up. So in order for you to get out of that cramming out situation where everything's closing in on you, start counting small, the good things in life. Start counting the blessings small. And it could start small, right? I started off saying, thank you for the warm bed that I have. Thank you, God, for the warm meal that I had this morning. Thank you, God, for the mum and dad that I have. Thank you for the brother and sister. I just started like being grateful for the smaller things in life, right? And I did this when I stepped outside and I said, I'm going to walk around the block, right? And every step that I take, I'm going to choose to be thankful and grateful for something. So the first step was like, thank you for warm bed. Thank you for my mom and dad. Thank you for the warm meal that I have. Thank you so much for the actual income that we have coming in. Thank you so much for the time that I had that car provided to us so that we can get by. And I started just listing out all these small things, right, to be grateful for. And by the time I came to my house going around the block, I felt completely different. That my perspective on the situation was completely different. I realized that in life, there's more things to be grateful for than just this situation that I have in front of me right now. The situation that I have in front of me now is I'm only feeling overwhelmed because I can't figure out the things with like, where does this utensil go? Where was that? But you know what? Coming into that situation refreshed and from a point of view, I was like, this isn't that bad if I really think about it. You know what? There's more things to be grateful for. So you know what? I can now tackle this. I can now tackle this situation where I'm overwhelmed. So if you're going through a tough time, what I'd say, Andy, is count your blessings, right? Start being grateful for the smaller things and just start listing them. Create a gratitude list is what Birdie said. So I give that's some dang good advice, Birdie. Well done. I agree with that.
Good. I totally agree on that, man. Yeah. Well, at least they hit one spot.
Hey,
Over
1 out of
31.
5.
Well, it didn't take your advice, man. Stroll through a public park.
What does it say? What does it say?
Stroll through a public park.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so
that's kind of like what I did.
yeah.
I just strolled around my block.
And learn how to make yourself your favorite cocktail. Please don't do that.
There's some good ones here. There's some funny ones.
Yeah, there's some good ones. Well, we'll put this on the show notes. You can
Yes.
read the rest of it. Well, I like this one. Like says that work through the frustrating emotions.
Yes. Okay.
So I want to add on to that. I totally agree on that because that's what I did. I was frustrated, so I tried calling you, and I was pissed off because you didn't answer my call. That's the fact. I said,
so you know what? I'm just gonna be
you are a good friend, a brother, and as well a pastor. So you know that someone is in need of like advice and comfort. Why aren't you picking up the phone, man?
Yeah, I'll just be like in the middle of the meeting. Hey, sorry, boss. Sorry, Pastor Jane. Senior pastor all the way from Atlanta. I'm gonna take this.
Hey, salvation, man. It's all about saving people's life, man. But yeah, I can't say that I wasn't disappointed, but it's because I was desperate.
Yes.
And that was the emotions that I need to work through. So after selling everything on the spot, like calling everything, and we know that we're gonna be stuck there 3 hours.
Yeah.
So I was grateful that Eddie was there with me.
Yes.
So we kind of laugh it off. He's like, yeah, let's just make the best out of it, although we are both frustrated. And we just try to like work through our frustration. You gotta just tell ourselves that, you know what has already happened, it's already happened. So you can choose to react or you choose to respond.
Oh, that's good.
So
choose to react or respond. That's some dang good advice, Andy. Come on, I like that
full
one.
round of applause, man. Don't cut it off,
that's
man.
a full round. That's full round. There we go. That's all you get, mate.
What a douche, man.
Quote that. You can tweet that, right? Choose to respond, not react.
Yes.
Bang. I like that line.
Bang. Yeah. So if you listen to the whole story, right? So I was reacting throughout the whole situation. I got panicked. And they said, drive back. I saw that the car was at fault. I said, like, screw it. I'm just going to ram through all the way because I was desperate.
I'm going to run to the border.
Yeah. I'm going to run across the border, man. I'm going to finish it, man.
How many cases? 100 cases? It's easy.
Well, it was 300 cases.
You do that in a day.
So I always have this mindset that I thought that the borders was equally divided between Adelaide and Melbourne.
Yeah.
I didn't know that you drive 3 hours across at South Australia border and you need to drive 5 hours into Melbourne.
Yes.
Yeah, so it was massive. And, my stupid mind for some reason thought that I can just drive all the way down with a crap alternator or 5 hours down to the border. So I was definitely reacting. And by the time when I stopped, I did whatever I can. Then I started the process. So there's a time that I was like, okay, I've been reacting throughout the whole situation. That's why I've been making like stupid choices, wrong choices, one after another. If I were to be calm and never say, okay, let's just confirm that is it an alternative fault or LED fault right before we leave? Then we'll have like lessen the situation. Because definitely if you fix your alternator in Melbourne, it definitely only costs like $300 to $400 because a standard alternator is only like $200 for a 2003-year-old Ford. It's quite affordable.
Yeah.
But when you're stuck in Ballarat, a small regional area, well, not to say it's small, but a regional area, they ought to charge you a hefty price because you're desperate and they know
you're
that-
willing to pay double the price. They see dollar signs, mate.
So I was charged around $750 for that.
Oh,
Yeah. On top of that, we paid for accommodation,
yes.
which was a hotel where we got like the whole chalet, which is like 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms. But we were desperate, so that was the only place that we can stay. And then we paid $250 for that.
Oh my goodness.
So if we stay back at our Airbnb, our owner actually said that you can stay over, just top up the same like rental,
Yes.
which was around like $90.
Yeah.
We could have saved up almost $1,000.
Wow.
And I wouldn't have a cracked iPad.
Oh my goodness. The cracked iPad that I borrowed the other day.
Yeah, still works,
Still
but
works. Yeah. It's not ideal. But your OCD's gone crazy, mate.
it's iPad Pro. So
Yeah.
it's meant to be pristine and fine,
Rip.
slick and stuff. Yeah.
So you would agree with these guys and saying work through the frustration emotions, the frustrating emotions.
Yeah. So on top of that, like I say,
How do you work through the frustrating emotions?
in that situation, I reacted.
Yes.
Then when I had quiet time, I tried to like trace back whatever steps that I make.
Yeah.
So I realized that a lot of things I did it out of desperation.
Yeah.
That's why I keep saying that when you're in a bad mood, your tendency of making irrational choices are
Totally.
so high.
Yeah.
So don't drink, don't spend, don't do any stupid stuff.
Don't do
sign up
anything
for anything.
emotional.
You can sign up for Limbo's gym though.
Yeah. Matty, sign up. Go see our buddy Matty. Don't do things out of emotion. Do things out of wisdom. Is what I always
Yes.
say, right?
That's right.
So you know what? When emotions are high, people say some dumb things. People do some dumb things. So even though this, like whatever situation it is, right, and you're feeling like your back's against the wall, don't act out of emotion. It's like what you said, right? Don't react. Respond.
Yep.
Respond to the situation.
So at the end, when I started responding, I made more better choices. Like for instance, I say, okay, so we got to fix this car. So can you fix it on time? So negotiations were more calmer. It wasn't like desperate. Say, hey, I'm going to pay more so that you can do it. But I still want to get it done by at the end of the day. But at the end of the day, we got the car fixed on the next day. And we decided that we actually already paid for accommodation in Port Campbell, which is along Great Ocean Road, because I haven't seen the 12th Apostle before.
Yeah.
So I always wanted to go there, but I never had a chance. So that inconvenient trip kind of segued into a potential opportunity for me to drive over the Great Ocean Road. So we said, okay, it's just an hour away from Ballarat, an hour and a half. So let's just drive down.
Yeah.
And throughout the whole trip back, so we stay overnight, 12th Apostle, and I got some photos. Not really the photos that I want, but been there, done that.
Yeah.
But the journey of like driving through like a regional area where cell reception is bad, there's no one around, and you have confidence because your car is fixed, it's actually a pleasant drive. So I think I drive like in a total of like 12 hours for 2 days, but I really enjoy the whole experience just because I can say that it is what it is.
It is what it is.
Why not enjoy the process?
Totally.
Because you can't change the outcome anymore.
Totally. And you know what? Like in that moment, you reaching out to me, making the call was you trying to process the emotions, work through the frustrating emotions. And you know what? Sometimes, right, it's when you're going through a tough time, sometimes you just need to be able to verbalize the emotions that's going on.
Yeah.
Right. So what I've experienced is sometimes people just need someone to listen to them. You know, like sometimes if we're going through it, it's easy. It's good to just like let it out, right? So when I say let it out, there's no need to like go crazy, flip a table or anything like that, right? So yeah, for sure, show emotions, but sometimes people just need to say, "Hey, okay, I need to work this out." And as they're verbalizing and communicating the situation, right? Hey, this is what's happening, blah blah blah. They're actually sorting out their own thought process in the head. So when you come back to that situation, that's why being around the right people is important, right?
Yeah,
you
it
want,
is, man.
You want to be around positive people
Well,
rather than
just
people that's gonna bring
Disclaimer,
you down.
not to say that my wife isn't the best person to talk to. It's just because it's like it's car related.
Yeah.
She's not experienced on traveling and stuff. So
Yeah.
the reason why I reach out to it, it's more like, it's more like
Totally.
it's more like a guy thing that
Yeah,
I
definitely.
feel like we can
And I always
solve it.
said,
Yeah.
"Hey, mate, you got a hammer? Just hit it a few times, see what happens."
Yeah. So it was good.
Totally.
Like after that, even talking to you like
Yeah.
the next day,
Yeah.
kind of helped me process more and say like, hey, I really should relax down and enjoy the whole
Yeah.
trip. And I know I came back.
Yep.
I didn't need to do 14 days quarantine.
Yes.
So everything turned out to be less severe than I would have thought that I play in my mind.
Yeah.
Because like your mind plays tricks whenever
Yeah.
like you're desperate, your blood pressure elevates, everything elevates, your hormones
Yes.
elevate. Then you start, hallucinating or you start like
Start
imagining like
hallucinating.
weird stuff.
Yeah. Well, your thoughts start getting overwhelming. You start thinking worst case scenario, right? And like because when you don't verbalize or you don't get it out, when you don't process it right, the biggest battle is in our minds
Yeah.
because our minds will automatically go, "Oh, this is going to happen to this is going to happen to that." But then you just need to be around people or just need to be able to process things to understand, you know what? If this happens, it's I'm not going to die. Like, it's not going to be that bad.
Yeah,
Right?
like the situation where if you have a secret and you have been keeping it for so long
Yeah.
and people don't know it, and one day you decide to tell everyone. So actually it's not that scary once everyone knew it.
Totally.
So it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Because
Because in your mind, you're just bottling it up and
Yeah.
it's just expanding in your mind. But then when you verbalize and communicate to someone will be like, "Oh man, that's not as bad as you think."
yeah, our human brain can be a very dangerous rabbit hole.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely, definitely. So I like that piece of advice, Andy. So don't react, respond to it. Great. My second piece of advice.
Oh, you have a second piece.
Yeah,
That's
we're
good.
doing two. Are we doing two? We can do two. All right.
All right,
I'm
fine.
trying to collect it. So my first one was start counting your blessings. You
Yeah.
talked about don't react, respond. My third piece of advice when going through a
Second piece.
situation, my second one, our third collectively, right? Yeah, think about this. What got me through it? And you're gonna cut all this stuff out because I'm buying myself time right now.
Oh man, I'm gonna show the whole world that you're not prepared for the podcast.
I'm thinking as I go, right? For me, if I can speak personally, right, I had a deep down belief that everything was going to be okay. So if you want the biggest piece of advice that I can give anyone, right, is the fact that, and I'm pretty open about it, but I had a faith knowing that there is going to be some good that comes out of this. And for me, it's a faith knowing that there is a higher power out there, that God is looking out for me and my family, that this is terrible, but you know what? His he we're gonna get to the other side.
Yeah,
So
appreciate Pastor. Come on.
yeah, so I'm gonna go full preacher mode right now. When I had that unshakable faith, right, knowing that like we're gonna get to the other side, and you know what, it's gonna be okay, that everything works out, right? I had this confidence, knowing that it's gonna be tough, and we're facing some things. There's just an assurance in my heart, and it's something that's undescribable if you just don't understand it, right? It's something that I could just be like, you know what, we're going through the wars right now, but I just know it's going to be okay. And you know what? Everything's okay. That was like what 9 years ago. My dad's doing good. He's walking around everywhere. Like he's still developing some things, but he's on the right track. So I had this unshakable faith and belief in me that everything's going to be okay. So if you have that, hold on to that, I think.
Definitely, man. Look, like you're the best example, man. Like
Mm.
your dad went into stroke
Yeah.
and the whole half of the body was paralyzed.
Yeah.
Then your brother went into like had cancer and went into like chemotherapy. So it is a full on life, man.
Yeah.
And right now, to be sitting across you right now and seeing where are you at right now, having a good career life ahead and your whole family, it's like positive, happy, living their life. Yeah, you guys pull it through, man. And it's really,
Appreciate that.
yeah.
Thank you, man.
yeah, definitely, man.
Mm.
I'm proud of you guys,
I
man.
appreciate that, man.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
appreciate that.
yeah.
So, like for me personally, if I can speak on that personal level, and I'll break it down as well. I'll probably give some people some tips as well. But having that unshakable faith, and it's a decision, right, to say that we are going to get through this. It's not positive thinking. It's not just strong thinking, but it's actually a deep down belief that you were going to get to the other side definitely strengthened us. So I will give a practical piece of advice, right? And it ties in, right? So that's on a personal level of some advice. Some dang good advice as well in a practical sense is who is in your corner, right? So this is doing things prior to the actual overwhelming situation, prior to the situation that's full on, right? You need to surround yourself with people that are positive. They're going to speak life. That's actually not pessimist, but will find solutions that's actually going to lift you up rather than bring you down, right? So I always say that who is in your home team, right? Who are the closest friends? And your closest friends should be the people that are going to speak life into situations, that's going to have your back. And you know what? That's just going to understand you as well. So that's just gonna be like, all right, man, like, all right, tell me what's going on, right? And people that are inside your closest friends, that your closest friends, they want to help you out as well. I think sometimes people think I don't want to be burdened, right, to other people, but like, nah, not at all. Like if say for example, one of my close friends, right? I'm happy that you reach out to me, right? I wish I could pick up my phone 24/7, but I can't, right? I'm in the meeting with my boss.
Dude, it is what it is.
It is what
but
it is.
yeah,
But you know
strike one.
what I'm saying? If my little sister was going through a war and she's going through a whole bunch of things, and I can see it in her face, and that she's going through something tough. And I'd be like, "Hey, is everything okay?" And she'd be like, "Yeah, everything's fine." And I'd be like, "Can I help you with anything?" No, that would hurt me. Like I'd feel like, I want to help. So if you're going through something, your closest friends will want to be able to look after you and want to be able to help you as well. So to prepare yourself from those tough times, take inventory of your closest friends. Are your closest friends life giving, supportive, right? And you should be the same, right? If you're the person that's just taking, you should be the same for that person
But
as
if
well.
you're the person that's only taking, I
Yes.
doubt that you have any good friends in your life.
Yeah,
Because people
exactly.
will run away from you.
People run away because
Yeah.
you're just a sponge, man. You're just soaking it up, right? So you should be life giving as well. But in those moments, I had people come and help me out. People say, "Hey, man, do you need a car?" Like, "Hey, man, I'm going away for 3 weeks. You can borrow my car. No worries." People that are gonna be able to have your back, and I think surrounding yourself with the right people is essential. So prior to that, take inventory of your life right now and ask yourself, who are my top 10 friends? Who are my top 5 friends?
Who are the top 5 that will pick up your
Yeah,
call
yeah.
when you need help?
Who are the 5 people, right? That if you are in an absolute jam, right? You got no money left in the bank account. Who can you call that could be like, "Hey man, yeah, no worries, I got your back," right? But you know what? Who would you do that for as well, right? You should be able to do that as well for someone. Generosity is a powerful thing.
Yeah. Wow. So powerful, man.
Powerful. Bang.
Yeah.
There's a personal and a practical tip for you
Yeah.
right there.
I
Some
guess
dang good advice. Hey,
I'll give you a full round of applause.
Hey, come on. There's
Yeah.
two for the price of one.
Yeah, you just get one, man. Because you've been cutting me off like throughout the whole night, man.
Oh man.
Letting you handle the soundboard wasn't like the best choice, but
Sorry, mate. Sorry, I'm just getting. What's this one? That's crickets, mate. What else we
you're
got?
cool, man. Well, I guess, yeah, you kind of summarized out perfectly.
Mm.
And I don't feel like I need to give any additional like good
Mm.
advice because that's what I would actually do as
Mm.
well. So I totally agree on that.
I really like your point in saying don't react, respond. And what you're essentially saying there is that don't act out of emotion,
Yeah.
right? And I think that applies to so many situations, right? If
Hey,
you're in the
man,
middle of an argument,
Hey man, I act out on emotions as well, man. And you guys, if you guys listen all the way up until now, you know that I'm a very emotional person. So
he's
yeah.
fiery. He's fiery.
Yeah, but it's a process that you have to learn to like. The more you do it, the more
Yes.
you're more aware of it, and
Totally.
the better you get.
Definitely.
So next time, like the tiniest thing that happened, you won't be like,
Yeah.
flip it.
Totally.
I'll go like all berserk on that.
Yeah,
You'll be
definitely.
like, okay, it happened. So
Mm.
what's the solution?
Definitely. Totally. I think you need to stop and assess. And my little sister's calling me right now.
Sorry, Chelsea.
Come on, Chelsea, call me back later. So say let's for example, you have some bad news given to you by the doctor, which I've experienced, right? My dad's had a stroke. Your brother's got cancer. In those high pressure situations, it's going to be emotional, no doubt about it, right? So it's okay to process it. Process it first, right? And you never want to hear those words. Like it's shocking. But you know what? Like, of course you're going to be emotional, but that's why you need the right people around you to help you process those thoughts, right? But you know what? Take it one step at a time, right? And understand, okay, you know what? Like, what's my next step to get through this, right? I'm going to get to the other side. Like, I like the quote that I think it's Tupac Shakur, right? So for every darker night, there's a brighter day, right?
Can I
Tupac
put
Shakur.
it?
So he's basically saying
Bingo.
bingo. The Tupac Shakur, I've never said that, right? But for every darker night, there's a brighter day. So it's basically the sun's going to rise tomorrow anyway, right? So there is going to be another side. So you need to stop and say, you know what, we're going to get through this. You need to dig deep inside of you and say, we are going to get through this situation. Okay, what is my next step? How can I get through this, right? If it's, okay, going through the next test, we just need to get through the next test. Okay, that's good. All right. Okay, so maybe you've experienced this situation, right? Like your situation. Oh, crap, the alternator's gone. Oh, we're not going to be able to get to this. What's my next step? Okay, whoa, it's full on. Okay, you know what? We're going to get through this. Let's dig deep. Okay, it's good. Everything's happening. Next step, need to call RA. Hey, RA, tell me what's going on. Oh, crap. We just know. Okay, what's my next step? Okay, we got 20 Ks. Okay, we can go to Ballarat. All right, let's do that. Next step. And just take it one step at a time. Think about your steps, right? And, it's okay to process it. I'd say don't blow up and just get lost in your emotions. Be emotional at the start. Yeah, definitely. Like feel it, right? But then dig deep. We're going to get through this and break it down to your next steps.
Yeah. Well, you're on fire, man, today.
Oh, come on, man.
Giving all the good advice, stitching all the advice together, man.
Crisis, analysis, and toolkit. I can do that for sure.
Yeah, I think like this is our favorite topic. Although I'm very emotional, but I'm also pretty much a problem solver.
Yes, you
it's
are.
It's just that I solve problem after I make a mess out of it. So that's how I learn, man.
I'll create the problem, then I'll fix it, right? Like even still, right? We can apply this to an argument with someone, right? Let's say it's heated, right? Everyone has arguments in a relationship, workplace, whatever, right? There's a disagreement and someone's like, bah, 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 right? Don't stoop down to the level of like, all right, I'm just gonna scream at you, put you down, just like you're doing, right? Because it's easy, right, to get to that level, right? If you're in one of these situations, take a breath in before you speak, right? Okay, think about your words. Okay, all right. If I say that, it's gonna set that person off. Okay, you know what? Like, it's better to come from a place of wisdom and knowledge rather than act out of emotion.
Totally, man.
Because you will say some things that are heated, or that some things are just irrelevant, and instead of finding solution to that conflict, you have one person emotionally charged, you have another person emotionally charged, you have people just going at it. It could be in a passive aggressive way, it could be an aggressive way, whatever it is, you're going nowhere. But if you come from, okay, let's assess the situation, let's hear the person out. Okay, I'm going to answer with knowledge and understanding of the situation, you're getting somewhere instead of just going, bah, 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 going hard at it.
Well, I'll do is 5 seconds after thinking, like, if I say that, you flip. Yeah, let's just say that. Man.
Yeah. You just probe him, mate. You got to poke the bear, right? Thing is with me, you poke the bear, mate, you get the claws.
Depending, like, you can poke the bear, but just know that what size of the bear are you?
Nah, I'm just 5'7".
Yeah,
I'm 5'7".
Whatever it is, don't go around and piss off anyone else, man.
Totally.
It's just not a good thing.
Some people like stirring the pot, though. Hey.
Yeah, those people deserve a bit slap on the face, man. Yeah. Well, yeah. It's a very, very wonderful conversation today.
Yeah.
I enjoy it, definitely.
Some dang good advice.
I feel actually a lot better.
Hey,
because I'm telling you guys, man.
Yeah.
I've already vented out everything.
Totally. I hope you can relate to some of our situations.
Yeah. I mean, like, yeah, just don't be like me. Yeah. But like I say, if you guys need help or advice or whatsoever, man, like, we're a pretty chill person. You know where our Insta is, you know our email. You know, just shoot us an email or contact whatsoever. We'll definitely reply you guys, man. Like,
yeah, definitely.
We're just enjoying like the time of like speaking and connecting to people and just listening to stories. Yeah. Who knows, man? We might ask you to come up to our podcast and share your story, man.
Come on, we'd love to be able to hear your stories as well.
Yeah, definitely, man. Yeah. So I guess that's all for today.
That's some dang good advice.
Yeah. Thank you so much for listening. Yes. Do the usual. You know what? If you really like the content and if you are our friends that listen to it, I'm going to say this, man. Please give us a 5-star review.
Come on, 5-star. Let's go.
I'm desperate. Yeah. Let's just make this like podcast, like go off and go on to the trending list.
We just want to help people. Yeah. People going through whatever situation.
Actually, we just want to be famous.
We want to be famous. Hey, I don't know about you, but I just want to give people some dang good advice.
Oh, definitely.
Whatever situation.
Yeah. Good vibes only, bro.
Good vibes only. I love it.
Yeah.
Hey, Quote of the night: don't react, respond.
Yep.
I think that's the takeaway.
Oh, that's a goal, man.
Right there. Bang. There
Bang.
it is.
All right. So to the next episode, man.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Peace. Love ya.